Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another wonderful episode of CommentForce. This time, we'll call it CommentForce 56. Hope you guys have all been having a fantastic week. We here at SwitchForce have had a pretty average week, Gabe. I don't think really anything out of the ordinary has happened. Can you think of anything that was abnormal?
A Nintendo employee commented on the possibility of a new console being in development. Other than that, not really.
It was a pretty light week. There were some good releases, but there were also some good comments. So as always, we are back with your comments, your questions, your thoughts, and your theories. Thank you for always being a part of the community and always being a part of the discussion. We love it. And Gabe, let's roll right into this. Nahome says, I'm still waiting for a Yoshi release date. Now, Gabe, you talked about 5 games that you don't know where they're at. I'm surprised you didn't add Yoshi to that list.
I'm surprised I didn't add Yoshi to the list either. Honestly, I just kind of blanked. And that video came together a little quickly. I was just thinking hey, seriously, where's Pocket Rumble? That's the game that started it all. I was like, hey.
Right.
And then I thought about hey, Flipping Death was announced right around the same time. And we'd never heard about that either. Same with Wargroove. So it was a lot of indies. And right towards the end, I talk about Tales a little bit because I wanted to get a retail game in there. And Yoshi kind of we know that that's coming this year.
Right.
I don't feel the same. And Yoshi hasn't been it hasn't been a full year since Yoshi's been announced is the other thing. A lot of those games on those lists, it's been over a year since they've been talked about. In some ways, Pocket Rumble, it's been over a year. So yeah, I don't know.
It's getting close for Yoshi.
It is, but
to me, the reason Yoshi is weird is because it is first party and because Nintendo has time and time again chose to put other games ahead of it in terms of their discussions, in terms of their presentations. I fully expect to get a lot of Yoshi at E3. I feel like it's got to be an August date. I think it's one of those cases where we get it at E3, no home, and then it's out shortly after.
Yeah, and I hope so. I'm excited for Yoshi, and sorry I kind of forgot about it. But we're going to move on to BJ Stewart. He says, I just want Fallout, man. And that's a sentiment that was echoed pretty often in the Bethesda video that we made this week, where Pete Hines was just talking about, hey, if things make sense for Switch, we have no problem bringing them over. He even talked a little bit positively about having things come day and date.
Yes, and I was surprised that most people didn't glom onto that. They weren't excited about the potential for day and date games. They were all about no, we want Fallout, we want New Vegas, we want 3, we want Fallout, we want New Vegas, we want 3, we want Fallout. And that was what everyone was after. I feel like that, if we consider our community a microcosm of the greater whole, they have to be aware of that. They have to recognize that. And one would think that given Doom and Skyrim, Wolfenstein, why not? That has to be in the cards, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I mean, especially with Skyrim selling so well, the New Vegas port is the one that people want the most, it seems like. So, that was Obsidian, but I'm sure Bethesda could just pay someone else to do it. Panic Button seems to do a very good job, but their hands are probably full with Wolfenstein for the time being, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and who knows? They could offload that to another developer, and then mainline Bethesda or Bethesda proper is making something new for Switch. I think that's cool. There was that rumor, theory, thought that Pete Hines was referencing a Doom sequel in some of his comments. I'll be curious to see if that happens. Do they? I don't think they would, and to me that would be very awkward.
You don't think they would announce a
Bring
Doom
it to
sequel?
Switch? No, bring it to Switch.
Oh, yeah, no. I don't think so. Not day and date, no. Not a Doom sequel.
Which is a little odd given the fact that the recent Doom. But hey, Fallout seems like a great choice. Would you replay Fallout game if it was on Switch? No, none of them?
No.
Because they're replaying, or because that franchise just isn't for you?
Maybe New Vegas. No, I love Fallout. I don't
Okay.
I don't think I'm gonna replay it on Switch. Just like I didn't play Skyrim on Switch. The experiences are so big. And
But you didn't enjoy that?
I hate even saying this, but honestly, I can have that experience better on PC, so that's where I'll do it.
So the idea of taking this, see, I think the thing with Fallout is it is such a franchise that is so culturally integrated that people get so into in a outside of the game way, in terms of the naming conventions and the look and the feel. To me, being able to bring that with you just enhances that whole immersion.
Yeah, I've played all the Fallout games, so I don't care to replay them. There's so many other
Okay.
new things to play, so I'll do that.
What you know about 272 has a comment that I wanted us to try to decipher here. He says, if Gabe ain't here, I crawl into my safe space. So if you're not in the video, is he saying that he goes in his safe space like he hides, or like then he goes to his safe space like it's okay? So is he afraid of you, or is he hoping you're there? Is the real dilemma.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you. Here,
If Gabe ain't here, I crawl
yeah, I
into my
think if
safe
I'm not
space.
there, he like retreats because he wants me there. That's the way I see it. At least.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but that's the way I see it.
All right, so safe space as a actual safe space, not when Gabe's not here, I can retreat into my Zen zone.
No, no,
Hey,
no.
do you have a Zen zone? Where's your Zen zone?
Anywhere I am is my send zone.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I'm
It's
constantly.
not like, oh, specifically like, oh, like when I'm holding my cat on the couch.
Nah, nah, just wherever I happen to be. I'm Zen. I fail at it sometimes, but I try to be as a Zen. I mean, for a little while, I labeled myself as a Zen master, as you know, Zach. Yeah, I try to. I don't know. I'm gonna move on though to
This is my favorite comment, so good. Let's get to it.
Ayoade says, I feel like Nintendo should make a free-to-play game. I'd personally be fine with it if they did microtransactions like Fortnite, and that you can buy it once for a season and you get the tiers of items to unlock, and as long as you don't buy anymore, it's future-proof. You keep getting V-Bucks when you get higher tiers. I think that ARMS would get more hype if they added an ARMS Lite Edition with 2 characters and just 1 online mode, and you could get a premium pack with all the modes and all the characters, or a character pack / mode pack, or buy everything separately since not everyone wants to buy everything. It's free-to-play Nintendo games.
I think this is super just alluring, and frankly, it would have been awesome if Nintendo had something before Fortnite hits, because part of the reason everyone wants Fortnite on Switch is yes, Fortnite, but also just the experience that has incited. And I think Nintendo could have totally capitalized on the Fortnite thing in their own way before they got Fortnite, and it would have been very successful. Because imagine if there was something that obviously would not have the just insane whatever you want to call what Fortnite has created over there. But I think here's the problem that I see, Ayoade. Once you bring Fortnite, what else do you do? Your second concept though of doing it with an already established type game and not like, oh, a brand new thing is intriguing. Unfortunately, at some level, I'm sure Nintendo feels that devalues their properties, right? And that's not something that they're really going to do.
Yeah, and they have free-to-play games that are successful. They just happen to be on mobile. Fire Emblem Heroes, things like that. There's microtransactions in that. Does very, very well for them. So they've touched on this, just not on Switch or consoles. And I don't think they want to. Like you said, it would devalue their franchises too much, and they hold those franchises very, very near and dear to their hearts. They think they're very valuable, and they are. A lot of quality experiences there.
I think it'd be super cool. I think it would be big of Nintendo. I think it'd be a bold move. I just don't know. It's not even so much like, oh, what game would it be? I just don't feel like they view themselves as a company that stoops to that.
No.
Like, I think that they feel perfectly fine making $60 games over and over and over again, and that's how it should be, and that there's a very formulated structure for how their development and how their platform works.
Yeah, especially now, right? If the Switch wasn't the resounding success that it was, and it was another like Wii U caliber performer, then hey, conversations need to be had. But yeah, not now.
It would have been really cool to see them tackle that space pre-Fortnite though, because once Fortnite hits, I feel like that's the thing. But the Switch is so ripe for something exciting and exhilarating. Even like, I know it can't work conceptually, but just bear with me. If Pokemon Go, say, was on Switch, and that's where it resided, imagine how exciting and interesting that would be to have everyone like out and about playing with their Switch. And I'm not saying it has to be like out in the real world, but to have something like free to play that everybody with their Switch was in on. You know, right now we have a lot of pockets of like, oh, there's a lot of people that love like Celeste, and a lot of people that still are really into Mario Kart and still into. If you could have something that's sort of like that groundswell that feels like, hey, we're all in the same thing, we're all playing together, it's all awesome, it's everyone has it on their system, that would be super sweet. I just sadly think that it's Fortnite or nothing. I will say, when I got to try out the beta of Arena of Valor, I thought that was interesting. And I'm not saying the game is great or amazing anyway. I don't really know. I didn't play enough, but it was cool to have like, hey, I like have this online game that's free, and like imagine if everyone had it and you could just play and sort of build this community. Who knows? Maybe once the online hits, it's something that they can consider.
Yeah, I think Nintendo is gonna have to do some interesting things once that online launches. People are not gonna want to pay for that just because, even though the price point's so low. But that's another topic altogether.
Yeah, I think it's also like if you wanted to think about it actually more literally, like what kind of game would you do? So far, this is done with shooters and like creation. I don't think this works with a platformer. It doesn't work with a, you know, it doesn't have the same appeal. So it's like what, a MOBA or a shooter
Mm-hmm.
or a Nintendo Craft.
Possibly.
So maybe that's part of why it's not a thing as well. Ibrahim Sherux has a little criticism for us. He says, I'm sick of people calling the Switch a family-friendly console. Even these guys are doing it. It doesn't help the system at all, and it is nowhere close to a family-oriented console. We were talking about this off air a little. Like, okay, there's Outlast 2, which doesn't get much more out there than that. There's other mature rated games in both the indie space and the AAA space. Nintendo is definitely a family-friendly brand, and they're trying to target the console with things like Labo in that direction. But yeah, I guess they have more so than in the past shed the label a bit.
Yeah, I mean, Doom's on the platform. So,
Right, yeah,
Doom, Bayonetta. I mean, the list goes on and on. They have matured a little bit, and I mean, not that they weren't mature to begin with. We have mature rated Nintendo games in the past. So
I think the interesting part here is Ibrahim says it doesn't help the system at all. I think that Nintendo feels like it helps them a lot. I think that the schism here is that for the core gamers, it makes us feel like, or it makes some people feel like, oh, it's a baby system, or it's not. It's like a little brother system. I think Nintendo feels like that's the market to tap into if you want to sell 100 million units.
yeah, I mean, they did it once with the Wii, and it
Right.
worked. It worked miraculously for them. So yeah,
I think they embrace that. And to me, it's more a case of, okay, they're doing what they need to do to assure that it doesn't just feel like that. But I think if you ask Nintendo, they would say it does help the system and that they want to be, they want their commercial to be the family all playing together, and they want their, Labos and their kids games and their,
yeah.
whatever else eventual tech they're working on.
And I'm sorry, Ibrahim, but it is a family friendly console. Like a lot of the stuff Nintendo does is very like family oriented. That's just like a fact. Like
Yeah.
Mario Kart, ARMS, Splatoon, like it's all very vibrant and very skewed towards younger audiences. And not that's it's not to say that core people can't enjoy it. I enjoy all these things, but it is clearly geared towards being family friendly. That's just fact.
My
But
bad.
before Zach falls asleep here, I should probably
Hang on. No, one thing I want to say. Would you say that all gaming consoles now are family friendly though?
yeah.
That's the other point, Ibrahim. I think we've gotten to a point where gaming has expanded enough and crossed a wide enough number of pathways that kind of every console, like the PS4 has a lot of family friendly stuff as well.
Yeah, and it's not even like inherently a bad thing.
Right. So I
Yeah.
think we've gotten to a point where gaming is just way more broad than it's ever been. And so like by playing like say the Jackbox Party Pack or Spyro on your PS4, depending on what you buy, Lego City, and like all of a sudden now the PS4 becomes family friendly.
Yeah.
But
It's
hey,
it's all
on the
relative and
on the contrary, Nintendo is bringing some pretty grisly mature rated games.
yeah. Seekin says July 13th seems too far for me personally. The 3.0 update is supposed to come out this month, but I question whether it'll be enough to tide me over. Or tide me or someone over for 3 months. Talking about the Octo expansion date potentially leaking and it being a little further than we all wanted. I'm not happy with that date, and I do think it is a real date personally. That's just the belief I have. So
I think it is weird that they would have the 3.0 update and the Octo expansion so far away.
we'll get 3.5 or 4.0 in the meantime.
I also think it's weird that it's so close to Mario Tennis Aces.
Yeah, different. It's a $20 thing compared to a $60 thing. It's an add-on that's just DLC compared to a full price game. It's completely different, I think.
I think this still hits earlier.
I would love that. I would love that.
I don't know. Maybe the thinking is like, where is the opportunity for them to announce it besides E3?
E3.
It just seems like it's a little bit elongated of a cycle for a DLC. I don't know, like a
I mean,
March announcement, and then it also gets covered again at E3. Like, I
yeah,
would hope that they have enough at E3 that they don't want this to be a part of that.
we would hope, right? But
Unless it was going to be a case of like, hey, it's dropping June 13th, but that's not what they're saying here.
yeah, I hope it's earlier. I don't think it's earlier. But
And remind us, where did this date come from?
this came from an official Nintendo. That was a foreign Facebook account, but it's an official Nintendo one.
Mm-hmm.
They posted it. I forgot exactly what country it was, but yeah, they took it down right away though. So they realized the mistake was there like very early on. That's why I think it's real. So.
Well, that's depressing. Let's get a little bit more heartwarming here with Esther Schilling's comment. Who says, I think Pikmin 4 is the longest one I've been waiting to play. I'm a 70-year-old grandmother and sure hope that I will live long enough to play it. They announced it in 2013 that they were working on it. It's now 2018 and still no word. I have always bought Nintendo games since 1991. I have all the systems and handhelds. Why is it taking so long? Why even announce it? This game is why I bought my Switch.
Well, they didn't announce it.
They said they were working on it and that it existed.
Yeah.
It has been a long time. I'm so proud of you for being a 70-year-old grandma and playing all these games. Your grandkids must think you're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You've been a Nintendo fan for 27 years, which is crazy. I do think, fingers crossed you're in good health. I do think you'll get to play it, though. I think this one is very close. Personally, I would not be surprised if it released this year.
Yeah, same. I hope it comes out this year. And if it doesn't come out this year, it's coming out early next year. I don't think you have too much longer to wait. Again, hope you're in good health.
I feel like this is one of the closest locks that we have at E3. Like, if you're going to, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great fit for the console. It's a really great game. Miyamoto loves it. There's no Mario or Zelda to clog, the pipe.
The only thing, since it was worked on for so long, it has to be moved over to Switch because it wasn't originally on Switch.
Right.
It wasn't developed for Switch.
Sure.
So maybe that change is taking a little bit, but it feels like it's time. I think Pikmin 4 this year is very, very likely.
I'm super stinking excited for it. I love the Pikmin games. Pikmin 3, I think, is one of the most underrated games of last generation. It's fantastic on the Wii U. The multiplayer is a hidden gem, and I'm super. Astra, I'm with you. Fingers crossed for this one at E3.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Gabe. Stingy
says, do you guys think that there's any possibility that Assassin's Creed will come to Switch in some way? Obviously not Origins, but maybe a stripped-down version of the 2019 one or a spin-off. I think we're more likely to get older games. I think I've said this. Assassin's Creed Rogue is a 360 and PS3 game that a lot of people liked, but by that point, so many people had already moved on to the newer generation of consoles that maybe not that many people played it. Bring that one over, and it was well received critically. But yeah, I do think Assassin's Creed eventually makes its way to Switch. Nintendo and Ubisoft just have such a good relationship that I wouldn't imagine their top franchise not coming to the platform in some way. I don't think it'll be the 2019 one though. I think
for all we know, there's a 2018 one. We don't. This series could go back to a year by year, but it does feel like with the number of franchises they have in play now, Division, Splinter Cell, Watch Dogs, Far Cry, Assassin, that they are going to try and spread those around a little bit more. But you mentioned that great partnership with Nintendo. How great is it? I really want to see if Ubisoft decides to, day and date, multi-platform some of their main franchises. I think that's going to be very interesting to see at this E3 what publishers like EA and Activision and Ubisoft decide to do. Do they provide wholly original content? Do they provide a whole bunch of old ports and re-releases? Or do they say, no, we are going to make our game work on this platform even with some downgrades? I still hope for the latter.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How angry / disappointed / whatever are you when that never happens? When we'd never get these things day and date?
I just frankly find that hard to believe. I find it very hard to believe that a platform that is pushing 20 million units, it's going to keep climbing. We have Bethesda coming out and saying they're willing to do it. And obviously the proof is in the pudding, not in some Pete Hines article, but why not? What?
Because oftentimes the people that make the Switch version of these ports are not the same people that made the other ones.
Oh, I understand. I hope that they are able to reach a point where it can't happen. Otherwise, I'm gonna be put to sleep by all these ports, man.
Yeah. All right. I mean, and
Like, at what point does it just like you have to think Nintendo is having some meetings saying like, hey, we'd really love for something that's not 5 years old to be put on our platform.
so then these people say, okay, we'll do it, and then Nintendo says, hey, but you can't announce it, Spyro. Like, there's a lot of weird things there.
This E3 will affect this discussion dramatically. If we don't get Call of Duty, if we don't get Madden, if we don't get Assassin's Creed, if none of that happens, then yeah, now we start in the discussion like, is it okay that this is not going to be a thing?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's sort of the line in the sand is like, do we get Call of Duty? Do we get Madden? What does Ubisoft commit? And the only way that I'm equally happy is if the alternative is not old ports, but
New exclusives.
specific exclusive original experiences.
Yeah, I'm with it. Although I do want to point out, just this week, Ubisoft did something grand on Nintendo Switch that is exclusive, in Rabbid Peach being in Just Dance. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was cute. All right, but we can move on.
All right. Marvel Mac 52 says, Gabe, since you've been playing Splatoon 2 a lot lately, have you started using motion aiming? If you haven't, I urge you to try because it's easily the best way to play. If you remember, at the beginning, Gabe was very anti-motion. He said it was not a good look. Have you changed course now that you've been playing the game a ton?
I have tried. I've tried so hard. Something just doesn't click in me. I can't. I trust me. I have tried. I mean, even now, just like in playing, like sometimes I'll turn the motion control on just to see if something clicks for me, and it doesn't. I've gotten way better at the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm very more than decent at it now. And just for anyone wondering, the footage from that video, that wasn't even my footage, that was Zach's footage. No, motion, I don't think it's for me with this game. I've tried, man. I'm sure it is the best way. It's just not clicking for me. I have no idea.
I personally don't like motion with really any other shooter, but with that one, given the fact that you are flinging instead of like just with the arc and the angles and stuff, to me, it just feels so much more natural. But
Speaking of though, just let me touch on this super quickly. The Doom gyro and the fact that it's coming to Wolfenstein. I almost want to re-download Doom just to test that. I want to see how that is. I really do. I have no idea.
Could be interesting.
Yeah. We can move on to with a weird name. Axolotl. Thanks-a-lotil.
I mean, that's what I would go for. That's the closest I think we're gonna get.
All right. Says, I can't relate to the people who think that the excitement factor is lacking with the Switch. A world in which Sushi Striker comes out in our lifetime proves the fact that life is great. Open your eyes and embrace the world we have.
Grab the world, Gabe. Sushi Striker is a thing, and I get that that's a little bit of a goof right there. Like, oh, Sushi Striker being the thing that defines the excitement for Switch, but in general, I still think the Switch is pretty exciting, and I'm glad that there are those of you out there that embrace it in that way. Mm-hmm. I feel like all of us will feel it's far more exciting after June.
I hope so.
So many things coming to a head at E3. The third-party debate, the virtual console debate, the excitement debate, the is it just pixelated indie after pixelated indie debate, the Pokemon debate,
it's
the
Smash Brothers game.
There's so much. E3 is literally going to be the line in the sand. It's going to be such a deep line, Gabe. Don't fall in. There's so many lines on top of lines.
Funny enough, I'm recording this video from the sand. I'm already in.
Gosh.
Yeah.
It's going to be intense. I'm very excited. I'm also a little tiny bit nervous because there is a world in which all of those things go the not so happy way.
Well, some will go happy, I feel like.
There is a world where third parties don't pan out. Virtual console is not to get talked about. Pokemon does not hit this year. Smash Brothers support. And there's a whole lot of indies. That is a world.
Mm-hmm. It might be our world.
It might be our world.
And we'll see.
We need to shake the freaking universe so that that's not our world. But Juan Rodriguez has a world in which he has both a Switch and a PS4. I don't mind waiting for most of the stuff to come over. I'd much rather play anything on my Switch. I hate to have to sit at home to play my PS4 games. If Persona 5 came out on Switch tomorrow, I would buy it again at full price. And this is such an interesting sign of the times. Just take that quote. I hate to have to sit at home to play my games. It is very cool that Switch has affected the world in such a way. Now, take the next step, Nintendo and Switch, and bring the big games like a Persona 5, like an Assassin's Creed to the console so that Juan does not have to sit at home and play his games.
Yeah, well, Persona 5 is happening. That's Sony. So, um,
Yes.
yeah, maybe it's the age thing, right? For anyone who doesn't know, I'm a 28-year-old human. I want to play my games at home. I don't know where else I want to play them. In airports when I have to and things like that. Like, it's very convenient.
We also lead extremely abnormal lives when it comes to jobs and schedules.
Yeah, that's accurate, I guess. But yeah, for me, I like playing at home.
Me too. I just thought this was like a very cool comment on sort of the state of gaming and
Go
you
play
know it
Fortnite on your phone.
yeah, it's impressive that Switch has been able to achieve so much, and I think I'm just like I'm ready for that over the hump moment that I think we've been waiting for.
Do you think it's
I'm re-
coming? Do you truly feel like it's coming?
last last year I 100% did. The longer we go in this year with uncertainty, the more uncertain I become. Because again, it seems foolish for me to expect that all of those things that we just discussed, all of those either ors, are going to go the good direction in one conference.
That's not even a conference, more a presentation. But
I'm scared that there's I'm scared that the path that we think Nintendo is on is not the path that they are actually putting themselves on.
so let's do this. Let's go down this little laundry list we have here, and let's predict whether and clearly we're gonna have E3 predictions later, but all right. So I'll just ask blankly the questions. Smash. Do you think it's a new game? Do you think it's a port?
Port?
Okay. Do you think that we get like day and date third party announcements at E3? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think Virtual Console is ever a thing?
No.
Okay.
I think the game subscription service with the online is a thing, but I don't think virtual console is a thing. There's a really great video that made me just
Beat 'em ups featuring
yeah
Arlo. Yeah.
yeah that I do think that so much of currently and if the third party thing is not legitimized, then not just currently but always, so much of the Switch success relies on indies and the presence of this fruitful space of games that are successful and want to be there and constantly filling the release calendar. Their theory, Arlo and Beat 'em Ups, that Virtual Console sabotages that makes 100% sense to me.
I agree. I agree. It is a great video. If anybody isn't familiar with the video, go to Beat 'em Ups' channel. It's on his, and Arlo is on the thumbnail, so you'll know what we're talking about. But yeah, that's a very apt point. Maybe, but is that even the worst case though? Like, so let's say it is like indies and like yeah, and third parties here. Like whether we like the way it's here or not, third parties very much here. We're getting Dark Souls, we're getting South Park. Yeah, it's not day and day, but we're getting it. Is it okay for the Switch to just go on like this? We're like, hey, the exclusives are the exclusives. Those are still like very top tier experiences, but in between you're gonna get like indies and like other third party stuff, but you're not gonna get like day and date stuff as much and things like that. Virtual console, no. If you want to play, yeah, like is that okay?
Is it okay? Yes, but the difference here that I think becomes a bummer is with the Wii U, getting the games at the same time didn't matter so much because no one really wanted to play them on that controller and on that system. Regardless of graphics or input mechanism, people want to play the games on Switch. There's an extreme desire to have these games day and date. There's an extreme desire to have these multi-platform releases hit the Switch. And that is where I don't know what you run into. I don't know if the response 3-4 years down the line is then, okay, we love this system enough. We want this. It's okay. There's other things to do. Or if the response is, hey, we really want this. We're not getting it. This is frustrating. And it just builds this resentment that eventually, combusts upon itself. Yeah. Because that is a noted difference. People, obviously we wanted third party on the Wii U. I don't think in actuality people would have chosen to play it. I think in actuality, if you get Assassin's Creed coming out on both, I think there's a large swath of people that pick it up on Switch so that they can play it on the bus and in the car and in the bathroom and in bed.
Yeah, I mean, probably. We got to take a census or something like. I have no
we
idea.
need to go into Nintendo because ultimately it doesn't matter what we think. It doesn't matter what the other Switch owners think. It's what is their vision for this system and what are they working on? And
I think their vision has been shifted. I think they saw the Switch a certain way, and then when they saw that, like, hey, indies are gonna sell incredibly well here, and it's a very low cost for us to get these games on here. And we like, yeah, like Nintendo's not making a ton of money off of stuff, but they make a fraction. Like they're like, hey, we almost do nothing, and we're thriving over here. Like the platform is doing super well. Like indies are selling more on Switch than they are on any other platform sometimes. Like maybe they are like, hey, okay, let's go this way. This seems to be working.
So yeah, I guess it's just interesting. Does this system exist as a amalgamation of indie plus Nintendo exclusive plus some third party, or do they try and drift it further and further down the line of competitor? And we'll hopefully find out a lot more at E3. In the meantime, everybody, that's CommentForce 56. We cannot leave without advice, so we are going to get there. Thanks for all like the positive vibes about advice. A lot of comments this week gave out people liking the advice, and that's always fun. So I will let you kick it off with your weekly Sage Master sageness.
Don't go. It's funny you say that. I didn't prepare one. Do you have one off the top of your head?
Yes.
Go.
My advice for you is to follow your gut and to trust and try to lead a life that is your best life and not focus entirely on pleasing others. Sometimes that's important to consider and sometimes it's important to value, but at the end of the day, you got to do what feels right for you so long as you've done your checks and balances.
Mine would be a direct response here. That no one else is gonna know about. Sometimes you just gotta let nature run its course. If you are a certain way, right? Sometimes you just gotta embrace that, no matter what is like right or wrong. Like, yeah, maybe focusing on yourself is probably the right thing, but if it's not in your nature to do that, you just let whatever's inside you be, and be at peace with things. That's the main advice. Just be at peace with whatever your situation is. Maybe your situation, my situation, whatever. It might not be like the best for us, but as long as you're providing the best you can to whoever, doesn't matter. I don't know. Just be at peace. That's my thing.
And from peace, then you can create what you want. Acceptance allows for opportunity rather than chaos and confusion that creates usually getting stuck.
Yeah. I always love how at the end when we're doing these advice things, sometimes in my head I'm like, wait, is he talking to me?
Yeah, the fun fact, guys, is that Gabe and me try to give each other a lot of advice all the time. So this is just par for the course. Mm-hmm. No, there's no subtle advice for you there. But thank you guys and girls so much for watching. That's another CommentForce in the books. Another week. Next week on the horizon, Labo. By next CommentForce, Gabe, we will be creations made of cardboard and materials. We'll have tape all over our faces.
Nope.
We'll be piano masters. We'll be fishing. Gabe, you may have become
the firefighters.
No,
Zach.
Gabe, I think that robot suit is going to like meld with your body and it's going to fuse onto you. I picture you loving it so much and wearing it so much. You're just going to like all of the Texas sweat and all of the heat and hotness is just going to fuse that cardboard to your skin.
Yeah, I just can't wait to call the firefighters.
Stop.
It's a
horrible thought.
Hopefully we get to do that.
No.
Yeah, we'll see.
Gonna try to wrangle Gabe in before he loses his mind. Make sure you keep your comments coming. We do appreciate them. Next week we'll be back with another show. Until that time, thanks so much for watching Fantastic Week. We love you all. Subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest from Switch and its games and its stuff. And follow us on Twitter and Discord. Links in the description below. Gabe, calm those thoughts.
Wish I had a lighter.
Until next time. For myself and Gabe, Switch Force out. Yikes.